Today I'm at my friend David's shop. There's
Justin,
David.
welcome, hello. This is my shop. I'm gonna tell you about it. Come on in. Oh, you gotta go for the money shot. The sun is so bright. Get it while you can.
It's so good right now.
He brought the sunshine with
gorgeous
him.
space in Southeast Portland. What do you do? What is this shop?
We are an automation engineering company. We are a bunch of consulting engineers that help design new kinds of factory equipment and crazy machines for big companies whose names you probably know, but we're kind of like the people behind the people that are making the weird equipment and making it go.
Making it work with
We do a lot
robots.
of software, but we have a lot of hardware here. But we'll talk a lot about robots today and what robots do. So this right here is like our testing lab and our R&D lab for when we work with client stuff or we need to build stuff. And you'll see a lot of artwork and stuff I've built to either learn new skills or just to play around hobby-wise. Let's actually go right to the router. Let's look at the router.
Yeah, it's a great start.
This is a heavily modified. I bought it when it was CNC router parts.
Old school.
That's how cool I am. It doesn't say Avid, it says CNC router parts on
logos.
it. And we bought the Pro CNC kit because it has profile rails, rack and pinions, which are great. The machine's been great. And I used this machine to make a bunch of open desks that we put in our old space.
Oh, right.
You can still see the remnant. I'll show you another open desk Easter egg. So yeah, I modified it.
Upgrades.
I upgraded it. I extended it 2 feet to add the tool changer. So it's got the ATC, which is priceless. And then shout out to Sammy. I just bought her vacuum table.
Oh yeah.
So this is a Hurricane vacuum table that I just added, which has been awesome.
Right. Very nice. Yeah. You don't see a machine like this with this many upgrades usually, and there's a lot of others. The pneumatic pins works. That's probably my favorite.
Oh yeah, this is my little DIY. Put pop pins, so you can put your sheets on here. These are conveyor stop pins. These are just bought on McMaster, and these are send cut send parts. Probably talk a lot about send cut send because I'm obsessed.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people buy the machine they need to start with. Instead, I upgrade it bit by bit.
Right.
Nowadays, I wouldn't live without a vacuum table and vacuum hold down and an ATC. It's like a must-have. Right.
The first time I visited you, you were in your old shop, which is nearby, and you didn't have a lot of these upgrades yet. And we had talked router stuff, which was nice and fun. And I've never been one that's been able to like manage without the vacuum table. It's just such a luxury, but also like it's kind of the baseline too once you get going.
And the tool changer too. It's like I can't tell. Look at this. This is my torture. This is my nightmare. I still use it for locating stock sometimes, but remeasuring the tool every single tool change.
And as a guy that does this kind of like upgrade a machine for big businesses, how is upgrading and adding like the tool changer yourself? Like, was it a hard task? Was it medium, easy?
I would say it's a good thing that I am a professional automation engineering integration expert for 20 years.
Yeah, right.
There's probably some of your audience could come and be like, oh, this is how Mach 4 works. You can just modify it here.
Right.
And I did get it to work, but there's still parts about it that are really sketchy, I think. Right. And it was only recently that I really understood, or like it really clicked for me, that the machine is just made of extrusion. It's all made of extrusion. So you'll see these little nuts in here in the rails. That's because I built all new clamping systems. The vacuum table is good for a lot of stuff, but for other hold downs, I made these clamps that go on the machine like this.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah, so this just clips in the extrusion. There's a couple custom parts in here, like just this faceplate, but then this can hold clamp down racks. So if I have like oddly shaped parts or parts that the vacuum, like a lot of hardwood parts that are long, like the vacuum doesn't want to hold them. So I made these clamps. What's
genius is like often you can clamp on the sides, or you have like maybe threaded holes throughout the table, but that you can put it anywhere. Yes. Gorgeous.
And this too, with the way that it's on the extrusion this way, like what it means is I can just put a couple of these down. I can move them this way and this way.
Right.
So I can put clamps wherever. Now that I have the whole table, I only want to cut sheets because I'm lazy like that now. But
you don't have to worry about like a bunch of tabs. And
so up here, there's just remnants and fixtures and cool looking stuff that I held on to. This is, again, bad old days of
Yeah.
Manual hold downs. See, it's literally got screws in it from screwing it to the
Oh, I've
spoil
been
board.
there. I think a lot of us do that.
That's the NC. I love this machine, and I don't know. I don't know that I would recommend it, because if you are using your machine to make money and you got a job to do, just buy the machine
That you need,
that
right?
you need. Like, I learned a ton from rebuilding and rebuilding this machine a few times. So
Right.
if that's what you want to do, I still made a ton of parts on it though, which is its primary purpose. And yeah, shout out to NordFab. They haven't given me any of this. I bought it all. I spent thousands of dollars on NordFab.
Good stuff though. I mean, like, especially moving, probably.
I brought a lot with me, and so yeah, I love this dust collector too. It's pretty quiet. The Harvey.
The Harvey.
I just emptied it, so I'm a good boy.
Oh. Yeah, what happens when it fills up? Does it just
well,
kind of like every other one, just doesn't work?
It does. It makes the sound, and this light turns on, which is fancy.
That's real fancy.
Yeah, it works great,
Right.
and it's strong as hell.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
I love your little workstation here. Yeah, that's very cool. I like the setup.
various-
I love I can see like your automation, like, you know, the extrusion. I think when I was here the other
Extrusion
day,
everywhere.
there's extrusion
look at this.
everywhere, and it's such an amazing tool that I'm definitely stealing the ideas from. What did you call this? The endless
Infinite bin rack.
infinite bin rack.
Infinite
wall?
bin rack. It's double-sided. And so this is also, Unistrut is another love. Like,
Right.
the base
So
of
strong.
this material is Unistrut. It's like big and beefier steel,
Right.
like this stuff. Definitely like erector set.
So this is all off the shelf.
This is all off the shelf. This is just cut on a cold
And
saw.
you custom probably this.
This is a custom bracket
Right.
between adapter. This is a send cut send bracket to just adapt the bolt pattern of this big caster.
Right. But it holds so much stuff.
So
and
much
you can
stuff.
Just move
It's
it wherever
huge
you
and
need to.
giant. So there's 8 of these. I would have called them acro mills, acro
That's-
bins, but Quantum Store, is it the same company?
I don't know, but
don't
yeah,
know.
they look exactly like my Acro one. So
Yeah, but I bought it all McMaster. So like
right.
this, when this started off, it was just empty bins. And so to me, if I can't see it,
Oh yeah.
it doesn't exist. I have done some nice stuff with, like, there's at least labels. I have been inspired to do some QR codes after seeing Justin do that. I got an Epson printer and I'm printing out
love
QR
those
codes.
things.
I realized editing this that it's a good time to mention something I've been building with my friend Brady, who's conveniently a developer. I got tired of duct taping apps together for PDX CNC, so we made AIRSHOP, quotes, inventory, and customer management all in one. No spreadsheets or app circus that we've been dealing with. If you're ready to leave app hell, link is below. It's almost ready and we're very excited to share it.
We're kind of obsessive. I'm obsessed, so I have the lids
You
too.
have lids, okay.
Because my mother, if you watch this, will appreciate it. I
Yeah.
vacuumed a lot when I was a kid, so you can
Yeah.
understand why I have a dust collection.
There
business
is
now.
there is a vague sense of regions. Like this is
Oh.
like lifting stuff and
I like
rack
that.
stuff. These are all my wood screws. This is more some of that Unistrut stuff, like these kind of fittings. So these- get a big
Right.
pile of those.
Grab a handful.
Grab a handful. These I did bigger bins over here, so
Fixturing related things for your router, which makes
fixturing,
sense.
and then shout out again to this is not a paid product placement. I have paid full price.
Yeah, he paid full price for these. Probably should give him some at this point.
And these
but-
two, no, that's fine. And then
Some tags.
these are cool for.
Right, they kind of blend in, which was funny. It wasn't ever really intentional. We were just like, what's a grid color that's like
Yeah,
a little bit modern, but also it could still be seen as traditional.
you did great. And then these are stuff like my kids come and hang at the shop, and these are cardboard screws. These are incredible. This is the children's section.
I get it.
Oh yeah,
Right.
here's the other.
Lamellas.
Thank you to
That was a gem.
Jem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Gem, you inspired the lamellas. I still have yet to use them.
Cabaneo. And
Cool.
one time we made a marble run as a team, again, team hackathon, so I have like an
This is
endless supply of
Oh, they are metal. Wow.
metal ball bearings.
Very cool.
We were finding them for years in little corners. My opinionated woodworking area, which is tiny planer, tiny joiner, and gigantic bandsaw.
They're very
So this is a statement of priorities.
Look how cute it is.
Look at this baby.
It was a 6.
Oh, it's a 6. Yeah, what a sweet, precious angel.
But yeah, I get it, because it's like we keep downsizing our woodworking equipment because it's not what we do primarily. And,
Yeah.
And we had a 20-inch planer, and
I bought this because a friend recommended it, and she's brilliant, and she knew what she was talking about, and a friend of hers had this, and I was like, I'm buying it.
It's blank on
Thanks
this
to
side. What do we
Noah.
got here?
I should know the name of it. It's
SCM maybe? No.
It's Italian. Okay, here's what I was told. It's the Italian machine, but it was before the Germans bought the company.
You've got one that fell off a truck, I think.
So I can't remember. Someone's gonna know, and I ought to be
I've never
embarrassed.
seen a machine like this that has no branding. This is wild. It
I
looks
forgot.
nice.
It's very nice. It's very nice.
It's got this like, is that like a breaker panel?
This is just a switch,
Like a
on-off
lockout?
switch. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
Do you have the flippy one? The joiner?
I do have a
planer?
jet that's flip. Yeah.
Oh, you have a flip. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And yeah, it's good. It's knives, so
okay.
it's loud and they get chipped and
Yeah.
whatever.
My buddy Sean has the Felder. Is the joiner
right,
planer?
nice.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
that's a nice one.
I don't have a table saw, so that's kind of what I'm lusting after next. But this has been doing the job so far.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Pretty good table saws.
Yeah.
First, second tool I bought after the router was a Festool track saw.
Same.
So I had a big table saw and then a small table saw.
Yeah.
And the reason for it was to fix. I messed up some giant panels for an entryway for a client, and I had to cut off the bottoms of them. And I was like, I don't trust myself on the router, so I went and bought a saw. And I was like, well, these panels are so expensive after they're finished. I had the same track saw, and it's like 6 years old.
Track
it's
saw
amazing.
is great. It's just not quite the same.
No.
Yeah, Sean Kirsch is always talking smack. People that say that they don't need a table saw and have a track saw, they just don't have a table saw yet. That's what his opinion is, which I agree. I'm one of them.
I mean, it's a huge space thing often.
This is the giant pegboard wall, and I went back and forth on pegboard. I had a whole idea of how I was going to do a 3D printed and have little pre-drilled holes and do my own thing, and kind of, because I don't want anything to fall off. Like, I hate it when stuff falls off.
I was going to say I'm pretty opinionated about pegboard, but you
Yeah,
have
but
the nice,
these are the stay put.
That's what they're called?
Stay put. See these screws?
I don't know if they'll convince me still. I hate pegboard.
Yeah.
But it looks nice, though.
And it is very functional, and you can still do stuff like this. This is 3D printed. So now I've sort of come to terms with it.
I was going to bug you for this thing, actually. Did you make it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, because I have the same Nerex.
But then you're like, I just need to hang this on a hook, you know?
Yep.
It's fine.
It is nice.
2 seconds, it's done. There's probably some other version of this in the future, but I came to terms that underneath this is the actual pre-drilled thing that I tried to make and gave up on, because I was like, this is bullshit. I'm not going to do this. I was going to try.
That's great.
Anyway, I made this table too. And this is form plywood, so it's waterproof and really durable. It's like a resin top layer.
Crazy.
You can buy this at Mr. Plywood.
Mr. Plywood. It's a cute. What's the story on this?
Someone on my team bought that on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's pretty nice.
That's a Portland find.
Oh yeah, this is a very special thing. I'm glad that we have the right people in here that when they see that, they just buy it instantly.
Yeah, I'm gonna need reimbursed on this.
Yeah, no, they knew I would say yes.
This candy painted device. Yeah, right.
This is cool too. The other, besides Justin, my other favorite influencer is West Weld.
Oh, it's good stuff.
And he tipped me to this. This is a magnetic vise. So this is just like a mag switch on the bottom.
That's gorgeous.
It's freaking cool.
You do a lot of metalworking?
No, but whenever I need a vise, I use this. And whenever I need to cut something off with the M12 Portaband.
Portaband.
Ooh, you know what? Now that we're talking about mag drill, let me show you this too. But
Slugger.
this is a very cool tool.
It's so big. Holy crap. I've never used one.
They're so cool. It's used for drilling big holes.
But probably more like field work or big fabrication.
It's like take your drill press to the giant piece of metal, and it literally, you bolt it to like an I-beam.
Yeah.
Or you bolt it to a steel plate. And then you have tools that can interchange in this really easily with this tool changer, where you can cut up to 2-inch holes. Take the machine tool to the part rather than take the part to the tool.
Right.
When you need it, it can solve the most ridiculous problems. Like we had to build with no time, we had to build a robot base one for this project.
Oh, right.
They literally were like, shows today, we need a robot base. Oh, they forgot to ship the robot base from Detroit. So you see these were mag drill driven holes where we bolted the robot to this base, took this whole thing apart, and put some steel outriggers on this so that it wouldn't tip over. And we just repurposed the welding table as a robot base.
Lovely.
And
I was gonna ask. It makes more sense now. It's like, why would you need a bag drill, especially of that quality? But now I get, and we'll see later. But the size of like robots and implementations that they use are fairly large sometimes.
Yes.
So we'll get to that later.
We are not working on big industrial machines, typically.
Surprise! Polyhedron and the bamboo. What's your material of choice?
PLA.
PLA. It's good stuff.
I'm boring with it. I haven't tried anything else.
I recommend that, but I'll probably get the A1, right? Like you don't need it to be that. Most people in their home situation, they don't need a professional-ish printer, even though it's not professional. And then you just print with PLA. It's so easy to get started with.
Well, we're here also in my super fancy, multi-million-dollar engineering company shop, and so I'm qualifying the statement to be like, it's $1,200.
No,
it's
$1,200. Isn't it crazy how cheap they are?
It's just as much as the baby jointer. Like, it's so cheap. It's so cheap. I mean, again, if you're doing it as a hobby, I get why it would be expensive, respect.
Right.
But
and these friends
it's
were like,
unbelievably
put it in
cheap.
my garage.
It's enough to make you paranoid. How is it so cheap?
Right. And there's some questions now at the moment. They're kind of.
I don't actually know where it's phoning home to. I don't know if it's sending all my Polyhedra to other countries. It could be. Well, I need to figure out something to do with all these sheets. So.
Are you wanting like a fixed solution where it's
honestly, everything is here rolling, but it never moves. So what's the point? Why not just fix it?
We kind of
What
built,
do you think?
Well, our first shop, we had a disaster. It was just terrible. So we ended up designing basically like a caddy wall system, and it has, what's nice is we have a specific place for like full sheets you don't use. You haven't used yet, they're brand new. And then next to that you have partials, so you don't have to go hunting for what's new and old. Okay. And then
I have remnants squirreled away freaking everywhere. Right. And I threw away like 100 pounds of remnants today just because we didn't have guests.
I was gonna say it's pretty clean. I don't know. At some point we outgrew movable storage. If it doesn't fit in a rack, we gotta get rid of it. It's gotta go, because otherwise it'll end up being a pile that slides out.
Or you're like, I need to get 5 more racks.
Right.
Yeah. These are cute.
I know. I saw those.
Little caddies.
Super cool.
And this one's kind of like a sunflower explosion. So again, that's just what happens when you have a 3D printer on hand.
The tape machine. Oh, I saw that guy.
This thing.
I hear the other week, and I almost bought one because the next Lifey.
60. Oh, do you prefer 70? It already justified itself to me. I'm going to show you a cardboard ball I made.
Right.
Where the edge lengths of the Polyhedra, I just typed 270 millimeters. And then I said, then I put in, I did have to read the manual, but it's like you can program, it's like spit out 60 of those, and it just goes, and it just makes 60 of the perfect length. And I just stuck them on. Strongly recommend.
Yeah, we just got, well, actually I bought it used and we fixed it up, but we have the better packages, like
I saw you had that.
Water tape machine. Oh my God. It was sitting around because I was like, maybe I'll resell it. We don't really need it. We have the manual pull one.
Yeah.
It's so good and so fast and so satisfying.
Wasn't that thing really expensive? Like $2,000?
Yeah.
$1,200?
So I bought it for $200. Get the manual one if you don't need to do a lot of shipping. So we probably should explain the Polyhedra.
Okay. Yeah, this is my latest creation. So what you're seeing here is a hobby that's also related to work and learning new things, and digital fabrication, and supplier development, and I'm sure other reasons that are justifiable to the IRS. But this is made of aluminum composite panels, which is the first one I've done like this. I'm psyched for it because it has really cool color. The color finish is awesome.
Very cool.
These are brackets that have little hardware inserts. So these are nut inserts, M4s on the backside, and then these are M4 bolts. And all these brackets were laser cut and bent from Send Cut Send. So actually, it all started with the router. Was playing with the router and making furniture and building stuff for the office, and then a lot of plywood brackets, and it ended up at some point turning into this kind of stuff and I'll show you the jigs that kind of where that transition point was. I had used the router so much that I wanted to figure out, like, is there a way I could make compound or mitered corners? Could I break out of this orthogonal situation? And yeah, that was kind of what sent me down the rabbit hole. And so far, like every one of these that I've been making, I just had other ideas for making the next one. So I'll show you when we walk over there, but it took 24 faces, 5 faces each. So it took like 120 individual CNC operations to make this one part. And then I was like, I never want to do that again, but I like this idea of making these shapes. So then that was what sent me down the rabbit hole of learning fusion sheet metal bending, because you could just put the bend angle in and be like, send cut sendle bend it to 21.8 degrees. So that was what led to some metal ones. And then that led to this, let's go look at the giant one.
Oh, right.
Once you have parametric CAD, you just type bigger numbers in, and then it becomes bigger. Deny.
Yeah, I get that. I've done the same thing.
This is also the same shape. It's a pentagonal icosahedron. Most of these are that shape. 24 faces, irregular face.
Oh, I did not know it moves.
It turns.
Oh my goodness.
So
oh my goodness.
I did like a moment where I was like, LOL. Again, I had a 3D scan of myself, so I put it in Fusion. And then I had the ball there, and I was like, LOL, just to make a render. And then I sat with that, and then one day I was like, wait, I think I want to do that for real now. I worked with Solid Form, who's a fabricator in McMinnville, who's a friend of a friend, Devin, runs the company out there. And I sent him this, and they do lots of cool stuff. They've made like the world's most giant fork, stuff like that. It's just one part 24 times. So if you have a press brake and you have a water jet, they did this on water jet.
Oh, wow. Is it cleaned up?
Nope. It's right off the machine.
Shiminy Christmas. It's clean.
Water jets are nice like that. You don't need to post-process.
Right.
It's Core 10 but I did, actually I take it back. It did get sandblasted. It's weathering, it's intended to rust.
Yeah, that's what that stuff does. I think Bend, Oregon would take one in their roundabouts if you're commissioning.
I think they should call me.
I would also like one in my backyard, because
if they've got budget.
It's hard to
I'm ready.
grasp the scale of it.
I'll stand inside like this.
It's so big.
I can't. It's 10 feet tall, I think. Yeah, it's 2,000 pounds. The ball is 2,000 pounds, and the base
more. Yeah, the base is also
the base is another 1,000 pounds.
Pretty big.
So that you can't roll it.
Yeah,
which is not what we want.
Because you'd probably lose a limb, I would guess.
You could definitely get squashed permanently. But yeah, shout out to Devin, because he had a little ball in his hand. He said I was just looking at this and thinking, what if it spun? And then he spun it between 2 fingertips. And I was like, oh shit, now I gotta figure out how to do that.
We need a disc.
And so then I made I'm kind of learning as an old man to be a mechanical engineer after learning all like crazy software and control stuff. So I talked to a buddy of mine. Yeah, mechanical design.
Right.
A buddy of mine, Ken Brown, who runs he's a Mr. Wizard basically. And I described to him what I was trying to do, and he said, oh, you should make a microwave bearing. I was like, what's a microwave bearing? He's like, like the Lazy Susan in a microwave. It has basically like a wagon wheel, and then there's little rollers. Yeah. That's exactly what's inside the skirt here.
It's silent too, basically.
Yeah, it has, they're nice rollers, but they're like 1 inch wide. And yeah, you can really get it going.
It just takes your robot out. Oh my God. Now I can hear
It's terrifying. Yeah. No,
it'll be a while. But also I'd be kind of sick if it just spun slowly, kind of like your giant
It should.
fan.
I should do that. You're right.
Just made you a project.
Well, let's talk about this robot.
Right. Robots.
So, that robot this other white robot used to be the big robot.
I know. I remember it being big. And
at one time it was big. Now it's only medium sized.
Give some specs. Like, what is this guy?
So on the flange of this, up there, the black part.
Yep.
Where we actually have a flag mount because we use this for the ABB Formula E race. We were giving children a VR controller, and wherever they wave the VR controller, the robot would wave this flag It would mimic them exactly.
I remember seeing those videos.
We have a cool video of that. Anyway, this has like 200 kilogram payload.
200 kilograms.
200, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
A lot.
And
like
this
500
guy,
pounds. And this one has 800 kilogram payload, and it can reach 3 meters, which is crazy. It as big as it looks right now, when it's extended, it looks way bigger.
Oh, I bet.
And I don't even think it's running right now.
It's kind of like having a dinosaur.
It's a T-Rex, yeah. It looks like a T-Rex.
And the eye at one point
This is
for
like the hip.
what, a video, or
So-
what was the eye story?
Madeline Gannon, a
Yeah.
badass roboticist.
I remember her.
Artist,
I know of her.
artist and PhD roboticist. We bought this because we were doing our thing, screwing around and having fun and being like, LOL, let's get the biggest one now. And she was leaving NVIDIA, and she DM'd me and was like, hey, I saw you have the biggest ABB robot. Can I come play with it? And I was amazed because I am a fan of her.
Yeah.
She's saying, can I come to your shop and play with your robot? I'm like, hell yeah.
Sure.
So
Here's
I
the
think
piece.
3 weeks later, a month later, she came and did an artist residency for a week. And the week before, she had sent me this rendering of a giant googly eye on this robot. And I was like, oh, that's funny. That's a funny joke. But she shows up on Monday. She's like, so about the googly eye.
Where's it at?
And I was like, oh, you're serious. So I fabricated, with the help of others. Shout out to the Loupe crew, especially Jesse and Shane and some of the other guys. And we built this googly eye. It can actually roll around that pin.
Yeah, right. That's amazing.
Yeah, so she had 3D cameras that were placed around the robot where if you walked into the region of the robot, this giant googly eye was up on the top of it. It would come and it would fly over to you and like look at you like this way. And if you moved, it follows you. And then if you stop moving for a while, it would get bored and wander away. So she had all this amazing technology to do that. And interestingly, and also justifying all the weird stuff that we do, including art projects, she taught us, and that was the first I'd ever seen NVIDIA's Isaac Sim and Omniverse, which today at Loupe are like the #1 tool for doing badass engineering projects. Like, and we saw that first from just working with her on an art project, and now we have folks at places calling us and being like, no one else knows this stuff, you guys do. And it's like, yeah, it's from screwing around.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Like,
Yeah.
from knowing you and following like your Instagram, which we'll link, both personal and professionally, like your Polyhedra, all these domes. It's kind of like, well, looks like an obsession from the outside, but I totally can relate to like this all plays back into what you do in the day job of I'm trying to make better solutions for my customers or understand
like
fusion better.
Training or like learning spatial reasoning or spatial problem solving, all this stuff is like, and by the way, all these Pentagon balls are all made in different ways.
Right.
Kind of, so how do I make it in this way? How do I make it out of this material? Like those are all things that I've been learning, teaching myself mechanical design. So
absolutely.
This robot is, and that story is a good example of why all this stuff is here. And you know, it's all the artifacts and stuff that we made is kind of just around in the meantime. Speaking of which, this log, this was from when we had a company ask us if a robot could handle a chainsaw.
Is this company from Australia?
They're not from Australia.
Because I know one of those.
I know who you're talking
Twig and
about.
Bot.
Twig and Bot, send me a hex nut.
I'll trade you something.
Something could be arranged. But they were like, the company was like, well, they said, we're not sure if the robot could handle a chainsaw. I was like, it definitely can. It's definitely no problem. It has 500 kilogram payload. Like it's gonna.
It's so
if
smooth.
a human can handle a chainsaw, a robot can definitely handle a chainsaw. Right. And they're like, well, we're not sure. We're still like blah blah blah. And they're like, could you? They had suggested, they were like, could we just try it? And I was like,
there's some liability there.
I was like, well, actually, liability did not occur to me at all.
Well, you doing it's probably fine, but them.
For us, no. They're like, would it be possible for us to run an experiment? So they're like, we'll bring the log. They brought the log on this 100-year-old log cart. And our only request to them was like, we'll do that for you, but we want to be able to share the footage publicly. That's the exchange.
Right.
We'll do it. We did it for free.
We'll drop some of that in.
And they were like,
I remember that.
well, we're not sure. We're going to have to ask somebody. They went and they're like, oh yeah, it's no big deal. We can do that. You can't say why we want to do that. It's like, okay. I still haven't said the reason why, by the way. But like,
robotic. You're going to put these in the forest.
Yeah, totally. So let's look at this. From screwing around to practicality, this is a mix. This is also where all the donuts on the ground came from. We got our start because we work, and we're still the local dealer for the West Coast for this company that makes really cool industrial electronics, real-time controllers, badass servo motors.
Giant servo motor.
This thing is a beast.
Rip the tires right off of it.
This definitely can spin the tires. And this is also a servo, a small one, relatively small, that controls the steering linkage. Nathan is an engineer here, and this was all this was his childhood go-kart.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he always had the dream of retrofitting it. So he at first bought one of these drives off of eBay. This is something you'd find on like a mining truck. Like this thing here is like a outdoor rated.
Looks pretty durable.
Real-time control. It's absolutely durable. But then it was actually controlled with this Fort Robotics. This is a real safety rated e-stop button that's wireless, and it has these joysticks. These are made for controlling remote controlled like mining equipment. We did it. We made a video about it. We kind of sell all this hardware.
Right.
So it all kind of mixes together.
It's a lot of the reason for the shop, right?
Yeah.
It's to be able to show and use these things for your customers.
Do inspiring stuff, kind of get people's attention, show off new technology. That's what we do here.
Right.
In this shop space. And yeah, there's one more relatively small robot. This is a newer one for us. We were just stacking blocks. I think we're making, it's probably out or it will be soon. Maybe I'm spoiling it, but we're about to release another extension for Omniverse to connect to ABB robots. This is a cobot, so this one doesn't need all the safety gear around it. And this is one that actually does have a gripper on it. So we were setting this up to show a demo. You see there's literally like movie lights around to shoot a video about it.
Right.
Extrusion table from McMaster.
Wait a second. It's a whole table. Oh my God. Cool. Does it come as a kit for the whole thing?
Yeah, it's a kit. Getting more firmly into practical territory now. We used to work with Comau. They're a cool company. This robot, this has a lower payload, but still a lot of reach, which is why it's very skinny. This robot we literally bought off of eBay for $2,000, this whole setup.
Right.
And so inside, every robot like this has some big controller next to it. You see some of them around here. But the thing about Comau that we liked was that, remember I showed you the go-kart? This uses the same electronics that we are world experts in, basically.
Right.
So I guess the way that I would describe this is we were taking these robots and hot rodding them. We were sort of like, oh yeah, we're going to put a big block in that because, and we would literally unplug their controller, plug our controller in, and take over control down to the motor of every single bit of this thing.
With like today's technology. Not whatever, what is this, 30 years old?
It's not so much that their technology is old, it's that robots, you can kind of only program them from the pendant, or maybe they have programming software, so they're not open, they're not hackable. They do not want you hacking things. And so for us, we're like, well, we actually have a bunch of important stuff we need to do with this, and we have a bunch of accuracy compensations, and we need to coordinate this in real time with 30 other servos.
Yeah.
We have important problems that your controller doesn't do, and we want to add on. So we're gonna I guess like augmenting a ton of new software. Sometimes we're putting in a bunch of new sensors and other stuff usually to make it do stuff that the robot doesn't do.
Right.
And where there needs to be more performance out of stuff like this, that's kind of was a sweet spot and still is a sweet spot of our work as like a real engineering company. So again, companies whose names have been like, can you make it respond in this many milliseconds? And we're like, yeah. So some of these are literally on hand because we were doing proof of concept demos for folks who were doing important things. So that kind of like very low level, high performance robot hacking is in our history. So that's why we have these around. So
yeah, I have a few
thank
robots
you for your service. Speaking of
around my shop too.
Speaking of big servos.
Oh my God.
Look at this guy.
It's like a spindle.
This we bought from Denmark, also on eBay. This thing is ridiculous. You can't really get an impression. If you see a big motor like in a factory, it's probably an AC motor. It's probably a giant motor, like 50 horsepower, 100 horsepower motor.
Right.
This thing has that much power, but it's a permanent magnet motor. So this thing is an
crazy
absolute beast. It probably ran a giant printing machine or something like that.
what was your plan, or what are you, just for fun? Just
We
to have
bought
it?
this. We bought this because we used it as one half of a dyno. We made our own dyno because a robot company would not tell us the electrical parameters of their motors because we were reverse engineering their robots and they didn't want that.
Yeah.
And we're like, could you please send us the PDF? Please send us the PDF. Please. It's just 5 numbers that we need to know. It's like mutual inductance and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, that's proprietary. We're like, you know we can measure it, right? You know we're going to measure it. And they're like, we don't like what you're doing. And we're like, fine. So
Fine.
we built a dyno.
Buy it. Figure it
exactly. Exactly.
out. This is a unique cart. I don't know if I've seen one quite like it. I like it, but also
Yeah, it's medium. I medium like it. This is
know.
not showing it in its best light right now because
Yeah.
it's crammed in the corner. This is also McMaster.
wow. That's interesting.
It's
got,
cool
like,
because it's
trays.
modular, and it's on wheels.
Right.
I needed like a lumber rack.
You should put a modular lumber rack where only your robot can bring it down.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So yeah, you can put these bins, and this is all like Unistrut offcuts and pieces of old plywood desks.
Yeah.
Or Unistrut.
It's a really interesting kind of
plates.
tray thing. Vince Basnick Co.
Yeah, again, McMaster. So I made this winch. Well, I bought the winch, and again, Send Cut Send. Everything is from Send Cut Send. These are the joints of this ball.
I like that.
It's made out of Unistrut pieces. So these are the 3-sided and 4-sided joints. Again, all done in fusion. These are stainless. I don't know why I did
it
them
looks
stainless.
complicated, and I'm sure it's hard to figure out, but like the pieces themselves are actually beautifully simple.
Yeah, thank you. And they work pretty well.
Yeah.
I learned a bunch from doing this. Again, it started off as this, and this is not, this again, me learning mechanical design. When you
know
stick it all together, it just wasn't strong. And still that one's marginally strong enough. The learning and part of why all this stuff is here is because it's like, oh, I need to hang it up. Oh, I need to make a winch. Oh, how do I get something on to the ceiling? Like even that ball, it's like, how do I move something that weighs 2,000 pounds?
Right.
And I have just learned so much. That's why this has been really fulfilling, and I just do more and more of them, is because I've just learned so much from messing around building stuff.
I told you when I came and visited, I hadn't been to this shop yet, and I was like, what's so amazing about this is just, it's my dream shop. I need to add a few CNCs to it.
Yeah, me too.
I need to add a few more CNCs
Yeah.
for my preferences, but otherwise, my God, is it just such a fun space. And you saw at the beginning probably, but the lighting in here is just real nice.
It's gorgeous. I almost forgot. This is a very special toy. With this, we're excited about this. This is a Boston Dynamics robot dog with a vinyl wrap here.
Did you take it to like an auto shop to have it done?
Somebody knew a guy who knew a guy who came and did it.
I would love you to just walk in with your robot dog and be like, can you wrap this for us?
Yeah, this is the level of weird stuff that we would get involved in. I'm sorry, I'm not going to turn it on right now, but
Yeah.
it's so cool even to look at. It looks like such an alien artifact.
It does.
And when it walks, it's just bonkers.
It looks like it's dead a little bit, which
It does
is a
look
little
like a
bit
dead bug.
disturbing.
No, I'm happy.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's amazing that you have one.
Well, it's another example of like making a weird and crazy investment. And this one I would say is in the break-even category, shockingly. We did a few projects with it, and I did get to meet Katy Perry because she hired us to help in her music video, which is why it has a white wrap, because
They didn't want it to be yellow in the video.
they didn't want it. No, it needed to match the vibe.
Right. I mean, yellow's pretty industrial.
Yellow's pretty
Unless it's
industrial, that's true.
For the reason.
They were like, we don't want any associations with military technology or anything like this. So they didn't want it. This looks like a freaking stormtrooper now, but we kept it on. Yeah, this robot dog has also been to Pharrell's house in Miami.
Were you there?
I was not there. We lent it to the people that were using it. No, so yeah, it's had an interesting life, and we did a bunch of engineering work.
I think it's really interesting just from a design perspective. Like the face is kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you make it not too cute, but also not intimidating. And I don't know if it's not intimidating.
It's scary. When it walks and when it moves, everybody's eyes are just like bang on it. Like, just like, what is that?
Right.
Because it's like right in that uncanny valley where it's like, that thing is alive. Like, And it does have that ability, like when if you kind of nudge it out of the way, it'll do like a little makeup move. And it's like, not just people hitting it with sticks and stuff, but like it's really cool to watch. Viability it's got to be viable for people to invest in it and want to build systems on it. And I think that's still like a big question mark of like, where is it better than?
Like that example we were talking about where on building sites, they just strap like a GoPro system to a guy and have him walk around instead of this, because it's pretty prohibitively expensive and you got to kind of know how to work it sometimes, but a guy with a GoPro is already employed and not that hard to set up.
Yeah, we'll just take the 3D scan out of the image data. It's like, oh, wow, okay.
At IMTS, they had a pen of these, which I think is probably fairly common for them, but I had not seen, I don't think I'd seen one in person, and then they had the like snake head arm on it.
Yeah.
And it's got the little pinchers.
Way creepier.
It's like from Predator. It's like, or Alien, I don't remember the difference, but I was like, that is.
I've seen it open a door. I went to their place and they demoed it for me and they're like, look, it can open doors. I was like, that's crazy.
God, it even goes back in like it's on Goodfellas. Like just get in the back of the trunk. You'll be fine.
Yeah, we're going to go bury it in New Jersey. Do all of your viewers know what McMaster Car is?
Probably a decent. Give us a short one.
Okay, McMaster Car is anything in the world that you need to build stuff or make stuff, and it's going to be here tomorrow. Okay, it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
It's a little bit marked up, yeah.
It's a little bit marked up, but it's like...
Sometimes it's pretty good.
Sometimes it's fine, and, you know, there's a spectrum too. Sometimes it's like, get the Uxel one from Amazon or whatever, but... But with McMaster, it's like, if you're like, I need this, and you open it up the catalog or you go on the website's the greatest website in the world, by the way, as well. It will be good and it will work. Right. And and it will be here tomorrow.
For a long time, being a bootstrapping kind of person, I didn't buy it from McMaster because I thought it was too expensive. And then there was a year when we just kind of went full board, and then we got upgraded to free next day shipping, which you're probably in, which is just like, it's like Amazon Prime, but for industrial stuff.
Addictive. Yeah.
And I would kind of correlate it to like a Costco experience a little bit, in that like everything you get from Costco should be good quality and you don't have to worry about it. It's kind of like that. Like you never worry about what you buy from McMaster. It's usually like probably more quality than you need. Why is it giant on your wall?
It's giant on our wall because I'm such a fan of this that I made a tribute to their, and their catalog is also legendary. It's like this thick. I have some around.
I was looking at it today.
And this is iconic, and this is my like tribute to them. And I CNC'd this and then painted in, not just me, I had a ton of help, but painted in all these lines. So this is painting basically.
Right.
A painting tribute to McMaster and its glory. And I'm going to extend this into 3 dimensions. Oh. And I'm going to make a McMaster car catalog that you can fully open and get inside. And there's going to be a little like a prayer pew, like a kneeler with like the catalog in there. Good. And okay, so I like that. Don't copy me. I'm going to make
cut that out.
Fine, that's where it's going next. So, okay, there's one more thing I want to show, which is this. So this is a cardboard ball, but you can see it's a different shape. Polyhedra shape of the soccer ball is made up of 12 pentagons and 20 hexagons. I'm looking at the soccer ball polyhedra page on Wikipedia, and it says, the explosive lenses of the first atomic bomb were also a truncated icosahedron, which is the shape of a soccer ball. And I was like, you're telling me the first nuclear bomb was a pentagon ball? I learned this 6 months ago. I've been building this stuff for a long time.
Right. And so are you on a watch list somewhere?
I probably am. I am now. Look at this.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. So then, did that inspire the yellow one?
No, not directly.
Because it feels like it's like
it does look exploded,
vectors,
doesn't it?
Right.
That's okay. So this one is a 1-to-1 scale of the first atomic bomb, made from this archive photo of the explosive lenses.
Say it's about 5 feet.
About 5 feet diameter.
Across.
So this has like a very interesting, crazy story behind it to me.
It's just really obscure too, compared to like it's not the sexiest one, but it's also like.
And it has a crazy evil story to it. See that black panel up there? Because that looks evil, right?
It does, yeah, for sure.
That's what's coming next.
I like it.
So that'll be the evil atomic bomb ball.
I'll give you like 5 more years, and this place is just going to be like the whole ceiling is just covered.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's
like a prism.
I got all the volume. I need to fill it up.
A prism one that like refracts.
Oh, that's a good idea. See?
My son is really into prisms right now. He's rainbow.
Okay, so that's the shop, is more of an office space. So this is where real work happens. There's a couple things over here I want to show you. This light fixture is made of the old open desk supports. They're about to get thrown in the trash.
Right.
And I was like, I saved them. I hoarded them from the trash. Here's another atomic bomb ball that's made out of aluminum.
Yep.
This is the lounge, and it's also overflow space. So we'll do calls and meetings in here, but this is what we were talking about before. So this was the first pentagon ball face I ever made.
Yep.
This is sort of a leftover piece of stock. So this required, the machine at the time wasn't that accurate vertically, so I had to cut out straight edge side. And then I would use these jigs in the machine like this. See here, G56 is written on here in pencil. And I would put in here and reference this fixture, and then I would come and I would cut these bevels like this.
Right.
And so what that did is it cut this edge here, and then it machined this pocket, would make a little strap. Making 24 of these, you start with this, and then you do 5 ops, 1 for each side.
Yep.
And once you do that for 24 faces, you can screw it all together. So that was the first one, and that this jig, you know, made of, I'm blanking on, they're like weld tabs, and you know, this is all custom fixturing for that.
Yep.
That part, so that it's repeatable enough to do that.
Which is pretty great in itself.
Pretty cool.
And what I saw first was actually at the end here, which I'm going to jump part of your story, because this thing is ingenious and there's iterations, which he showed me these the other day, and I was like, oh, I've got to share these. These are so cool. Was that the first, and then eventually you got to 3D printing?
Yep. And this is cutting the bevel edge just like on a feed through process.
Yeah. So that one's pretty simple. Then you got like this sweet, is that printed?
Yeah, 3D printed.
3D printed dust collection built into this one. The final form, which I don't remember the words for those things in the back.
Goniometer. Goniometer, which is this guy here. It has a bearing set that it's on an arc. So as I turn this dial, it's moving this stage up and down. It's commonly used in microscopes. This is actually like Amazon Chinese surplus microscope part. And then there's this fence here, which is also a microscope part. And as you can see this fence moving back and forth, what it's doing is I'm dialing in precisely against this fence what this bevel angle is. So as I pass a part by, I can dial in exactly how much bevel it's getting cut off on each pass. So I can get it really, really precise. And so like, the reason I did that, by the way, is because these are all fixed angles. And when I started making the atom bomb ball, it has different angles on it for the edges. So I need an adjustable angle system. And that was one of the ways that I was thinking how to do this. And if you look at the bottom, like, you can see this is a big manifold for dust collection, which I'm really proud of and is very cool.
That's very cool.
The Festool vac like plugs right on there perfectly. And yeah, this is just this is made from like DIY router. I mean, this is like a $30 part on Amazon to hold a Makita, and same thing with the router. This is an incredible router for like $100, and the rest is all just industrial extrusion and send, cut, send, bent part, send, cut, send, send, cut, send, send, cut, send.
Extrusion. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, I'm trying to solve a problem right now with one of our products and how we drill a side bore, and I was trying to think of all these solutions, and I mean, this is part of why I love getting out and like seeing David shop and stuff like this, because I was just like, this is so many good solutions for my head. Love that thing. Yeah,
and that's why also when people ask, or we were talking like when people talk about, you know, like, oh, you're a robotics crew, it's like, I think our attitude about it, and there are some places where like they do great work doing robot cells, and it's a particular genre of things, and it's like, yeah, if you have a problem and a robot can solve it and you have $250 to $1 million, that there's a whole world there. But I think where we're coming from is like more just as general tool builders. It's like, what can we piece together? Here's grab some software, grab some mechanics, grab some motors and stuff, and let's throw together this kind of, we're coming more from a custom equipment mindset. Sometimes there's robots involved, but like even at this tiny scale, you can kind of see like a lot of real industrial equipment kind of has this flavor to it. When it's doing real stuff.
So often I think like, oh, I want to add some automation to my shop, my CNC shop. I should definitely throw a robot at it. And you didn't say right away, but through talking, you were like, it's really not the first thing I reach for ever. They're really pretty expensive compared to some of these other solutions. Just a stepper motor and a sensor or like something else that's really like hands off. So I think that was really informative for me of thinking about how I can automate little things with a much lower cost and not need a fixed robot that maybe is hard to reprogram sometimes if it's like quick change. So
there's a tile company here, Pratt & Larson, and I'm friends with them through some mutual friends, and they have basically a passive roller that is on the end of their clay extruder when they want to put textures onto tiles. And they're getting into doing cool stuff. They're like started doing 3D printing of the impression cylinders, which is really cool.
Right.
But they needed like their old machine for holding these things was just like kind of janky, you know, and it'd been welded together like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And they just needed something different. And the solution to that was basically like a couple air valves, a bunch of extrusion pieces, maybe 3 or 4 custom sheet metal profile pieces, and like just some bolts, you know, and it's just like a fixture and a couple things in an air cylinder. Like you can do so much with that. And it's like a few $100s in parts, if, you know,
not 40,000 to 60,000.
Yeah. So it's like, what can you grab from like Automation Direct and McMaster and just kind of slap together, and it's a jig and anything. The thing that's interesting and really valuable is like, and I'll just keep saying send, cut, send over and over again. Like they've solved the, like, I need this custom piece that has tapped holes and has the geometry that I need for that thing. The only thing that was custom about that, like that impression roller, was like the profile of like how the arm swings down is important. But it's like, you can cut that out of a plane and it'll be here in 2 days, you know, like, and that's what I'm really into lately. Besides all the like super high tech, like F1 level stuff that we do for big companies, like it all kind of goes together.
Blending the two is also like a level of, I will call it like genius in itself too, because like getting the simplistic part of the flat sheet metal, which when I think about sheet metal, I don't often think this is precision. And I think that's just a bias I have. It's not really true. And especially, you know, these companies that like Send Cut Send or FabWorks or Oshcut, like they're definitely doing things, not to say that our local companies aren't doing that, but but we just don't get that experience because it's too disconnected sometimes from ease of use.
Or it's like, where do you need the precision, you know? And there might be something that you need to do that is a machined part of it where it's really critical, but it's like, that's 1% of the content of the machine.
Right.
The rest just bolted together with like countersunk holes and you know, a lot of stuff is just built out of extrusion, and extrusion is crazy straight and convenient, you know? So it's like, for building massive stuff, that's what helps. So the representation of all the like digital space stuff that we work on, the triplet, the XYZ, and I was explaining, and I became obsessed with this. The XYZ, it maps to red, green, blue pixel order. So like with your hex code, like if you're making a web page, the RGB colors are the pixel RGB colors. If you see a red line, yellow line, blue line, you can always remember which one is X, Y, and Z from that mnemonic. And so I was just so delighted by that I've been making these. And when we had the space in the lobby, I made this. This was also made on the CNC. It's laminated 2 sheets of MDO. So it's like paper coated sign board. Inside those pieces, there's a stainless plate that it takes 2 bolts from the backside. Oh. And so there's basically a little slot that holds that. And it's basically like a big nut plate.
Yeah. Oh, that's super clean.
Yeah. I'm really delighted how this came out. So there's 2 here, and 2 at the bottom. And this is another like fancy tip for everybody. These are countersunk washers, which are really pretty.
Those are great.
Stainless M10 countersunk washer.
Those are just from the local hardware store.
McMaster.
Unistrut table. One bent steel piece, kind of holding that together.
Yep.
Lovely. I love that your basically kitchen table is also your workshop table.
That was very much on purpose.
Right. Lovely coffee solutions here.
Oh yeah.
I don't have a good coffee maker at my shop, and I think I need to change that.
I'm not qualified to talk about these. This is decent. Yeah, these are great. Like I went to get one of these at home. I was like, hell no, I'm not buying. It's way too expensive.
Right. That's a very nice coffee grinder.
Okay, so this is the swag wall.
Right. I love that there's a little robot. I didn't see that at first.
This guy's got the XYZ guy too, the RGB thing.
Triplet.
Again, I don't know if I said it. The company's Loupe.
Loupe.
If you know, you know. People will come up to you and be like, "Is that a right-hand rule hat?" In fact,
it's good.
It is.